Okay guys, here's an installation video for a YiKatoo rear bumper on a 1999 Ford F350. Here's a part number AM215 and there's a guide that comes with it. I just wanted to go through a quick unboxing before we get into it. Just make sure you got everything. I already inventoried all the nuts and bolts and everything, and I just put them in another Ziploc because it was easier. The two white boxes there are the LED cube lights for the back. The only thing, actually, just because I'm looking at them here, that's not in the box, I went ahead and bought these. These are just new caps for the license plate light. Right there, you can see mine are silver, and I just didn't want to put silver plastic, and they're kind of scratched up anyways. I just didn't want to put the silver plastic on this new black bumper, so I just went ahead and ordered black ones. These were only like, I don't know, $6 or something. So you guys might want to do the same thing if you happen to have silver or like primered light caps for your license plate light, just so they match. But anyways, besides all your nuts and bolts and your hardware, you got your cube lights, your LED lights, you got the main brackets, one for each side, and then you got your spacers. There's a couple other little things in there that I actually already stuck on the bumper. You can see the square white plastic license plate screw mounts that you just snap into place. They just push right in. And then my F350 isn't a Lariat, so it doesn't have the backup sensors. So they give you these really cool rubber plugs that just kind of look like backup sensors, and then they plug right into the holes. So I just went ahead and pushed those in. Those are real self-explanatory, easy to do. So I think mine's pretty much ready to go on. The only thing you got to really look at before you start is take off your license plate, obviously, like I already did. And the only other thing I have to worry about that's maybe a little different depending on what you got or where you mounted it is I've got a 7-prong toe plug, which is just on a L bracket here, which is mounted to my stock bumper. So I'm going to take that off and I'll keep the bracket and see if there's somewhere I can put it on the new one, or maybe I'll end up just mounting it right into the hitch receiver. But we'll figure that out by the end. Just want to show you real quick before we dive in. I got it laid out obviously exactly how it's going to go on the truck, just like that. And this is the proper side for each of your brackets. So they are going to go in, lay this straight down for you. They're going to go in just like this. Just like that. On each side. So basically what the instructions have you do is just like this with the brackets on the bumper, you're going to go ahead and put all your hardware through. Just put them in, you know, finger tight or not even tight. Just keep them loose so everything can be wiggled and adjusted before you lift the bumper up there to put it in place. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. I'll check in with you every time I'm going to do something different. I wanted to do it just outside in the carport. I'm going to lift the jack or the bumper up with just a floor jack, and I'm by myself, so I know a lot of you guys are going to do it just like I'm going to do it. Don't have a lot of fancy tools or anything. I don't have any air tools, but this shouldn't be a real difficult project. Okay, so I just wanted to give you guys a quick preview before we got into it all the way. So the YiKatoo bumper is going to mount a little bit differently than your stock one. It's actually going to mount a lot stronger. There's a lot better way to do it than the way that the factory one is. So basically, the only thing that holds the factory one on are these angled brackets right here. And they got 2 bolts at the top of them. And that's it. So it just kind of hangs here. And the way that the YiKatoo bumper goes in, I have this on the proper side here, is basically, if I can hold this, basically those 2 holes that I'm pointing at there are what's going to go in those aligned with the same 2 holes as the stock one. But on the other side, this whole big wing is basically going to sandwich right here between your frame rail and your whole hitch receiver. So if you look ahead in your instructions, you'll look at the part where you have to, back here, take these 2 bolts out, and you're gonna put in one of your spacers that it comes with. And so that's gonna help drop the back of the hitch receiver down just as much as the front, so it stays nice and level. So you'll take those ones out and just loosen the front ones up here so that you can put the spacer in, and then you're gonna put the bolts right back in and tighten those, not all the way tight. And then to get your big bracket in, you'll take these ones out. And that way you don't have to ever take the whole hitch receiver all the way off. So you're just kind of take off these 2, put the spacer in, and then put those back in, leave them loose, and then take these ones out so that you can put the bumper on and then put them back in. So you'll have these 2 bolts holding it on the side, and then you'll have the 2 bolts kind of sandwiching it in here, and it'll just be a lot stronger. It's a heavier bumper, so it's going to keep it from rattling. Obviously, if somebody hits you, it'll be a lot tougher that way. So really, that's the only thing that we're going to dive into. If you got some WD-40 or PB Blaster, probably want to hit all these guys if you can before you start, because back here, all these bolts and nuts are exposed to the elements, and it'll just make your life a little bit easier. And like I said, the only other thing I got to worry about is my wiring harness here. So I'm going to just take this whole bracket off and leave it hanging, and then I'll see where I can mount it at the end. Okay, so like I mentioned, some of you guys are going to have to unplug or unsnap all of your backup sensors, which I don't have. So first step for me is I'm going to take the license plate lights off. They're real easy. They're mounted just like that, and all you got to do is stick a flathead screwdriver in there, and they kind of come out sideways and pop right off. And then here's the light. You just twist them right out. This is a good opportunity, obviously, if you're doing some upgrades. You could switch those over to an LED right now. I'm just going to let them dangle out of the way and move on to my wiring harness bracket. Okay, got the wiring harness undone. It's just one 15mm bolt right there. And I'm pretty sure that that bracket that I just took off was stock. You can see the rustier part where my hand is versus the plate that I bought and put on there. But you guys might have something similar in the same spot, so I just wanted to show that. So the next thing is going to be just your 21mm bolts and nuts up here. You don't have to take off the other half of the bracket because you're not going to reuse this bracket. So just take them off where they're mounted to the frame on both sides, obviously, and then you'll be able to lift the bumper right off. All right, there's one side off. I'm just kind of resting it here. Kind of just sits down on the tow hitch receiver. But you're gonna retain your hardware that you took out of there. This is what they look like. So 2 bolts on a like welded to this washer thing. So anyways, you don't have to put a wrench on the back because it can't spin. All you need, like I said, 21mm, take them off, and then just make sure that you clean them up if you need to. Take good care of them because you're gonna reuse them. Okay, so there it is, stock bumper off. Not too difficult to do by yourself. The stock one's not very heavy. I know the YiKatoo one's gonna be a little bit more challenging to get up there, but yeah, same on both sides. Retain your hardware, clean them up if you need to, never seize, whatever. And so next, what we're gonna go after is to get our little spacer bracket in. So on the hitch receiver, we're gonna loosen these ones and leave them in, and then we're gonna go ahead and take these 2 all the way out so that we can put that spacer in there, and then we just put the nuts and bolts right back in, and then we'll be able to get the bumper ready to go in at the front. Okay, so here we are at the back. Like I said, just go ahead and take the 2 bolts that are closest to the tailgate and loosen them, but don't take them out. That's what the bracket looks like on the frame rail. And actually, you probably can't see, but back up in here, the ones that are a little bit more forward, the bracket is the exact same. So they're all 18 millimeter bolts, and you don't have to hold the nut because they're on this handy little welded flange thing. But yeah, just take them down a few threads, the one near the tailgate. I haven't done this one yet, just so you can see. But just so that they can sag down, and then when you take the ones off the back, that way the whole hitch receiver doesn't come crashing down. You don't have to lift it up and realign it. Pretty handy, especially if you're by yourself. Okay, so we got the more rear brackets both loose, and then the bolts taken out all the way. Let me show them to you. I got them taken out all the way here. And then same thing, you're going to retain those bolts, so clean them up if you need to. And then that is going to give us, you can already see there's a little bit of space, but if I just grab on the hitch here, what I should be able to do is just kind of, just like that. So that's going to give us, if I can look at it at the same time, enough space right there. Just open that up, and you're going to fit your spacers, these guys, right into that space, and just put the bolts right back through. You're going to probably have to reach your hand up around and hold that little bracket in place to get them started. And then don't torque them all the way down. Don't get them tight yet, because you're basically going to do the same thing on the front. So leave those ones, or I keep saying front. Once you get the spacer in there, leave those ones loose. Just make sure they're all on there. Same idea to hold this guy. And then we'll take these all the way out, and then we'll be able to rock this end down to get the big brackets in when we lift the bumper on. Okay, so we went ahead and got those spacers in. They're gonna just look like that, just sandwiched right in there. I just got the bolts finger tight on both sides, and then finished taking these guys all the way out. And so this is what your bracket's gonna look like, more or less, when it goes in there. Obviously I'll move all my wires and stuff, but those are gonna go right in between and line up with those guys. And then these ones are gonna line up with the factory holes. And it's gonna pretty much look just like that. It's gonna sandwich down in between there. But the instructions, pretty smart. Follow them. They want you to put the bolts and nuts, all the hardware on this end, mounted to the bumper first. Put them on, leave them loose, and that way there's lots of room for adjustment. And then when you lift them up, then you'll get both brackets more or less lined up at the same time. And then because you've got this kind of wedging factor here, it's also going to hold all the way to the bumper. So as soon as you get it in there, even if it isn't lined up all the way, you're going to be able to basically rest it there. You're going to be able to set it down and then line up all your other bolt holes and work from there. So I will go ahead and get the brackets all put on the bumper. Okay, so this is what it should look like just before you lift it onto the back of the truck. Just make sure that all your hardware is loose but in place. It's going to save you a ton of trouble because you wouldn't be able to line all these up if you were tightening them up one at a time while trying to hold the weight of the bumper. So I got it sitting here. You're just going to go ahead and lift it up and slide them right into your gap there. And I did go ahead and tighten the front ones a little bit more just to get a couple of threads on them. Just so that it can hold the weight. So once you get it in there, you should be able to just set it down and then get underneath it and line it all up. Okay, so there it is for dry fitment. It's just resting there. I haven't adjusted anything. I haven't even put the bolts in yet. So it's just hanging there. All of these are still loose. All these are still loose. But yeah. It's sandwiched in between there, and these are more or less lined up on both sides. So that's the next step, is we're going to try and get our 2 bolts in under here first and get this snugged up so there's no gap right here. And then we'll do the top ones, and then we'll start tightening everything and lining it up if we need minor adjustments. Turns out actually you are going to retain these two, and you are going to retain these two and these two. Just like I said the very first time, what I was looking at wrong on the diagram is these two right here. So 2, 4, 6 of the new ones per side. Those are all from the bumper to the bracket, but everything that goes from the bracket to your truck, they do want you to retain the original hardware. So sorry about that. Anyways, got them all in. 6 over here, 2, 4, 6 over here. Everything's loose, and then we can adjust everything and torque it to spec. But I think next we're going to move on to putting in those LED lights and putting on the license plate lights, and then I'm going to mount up my tow wire harness. All right, so again, these didn't come with the YiKatoo bumper, but if yours are like mine and you've got the silver ones that are kind of meant to match the stock chrome bumper, you might want to go on Amazon and get some black ones, just because I think they're going to look a lot better. But I'll go ahead and snap those in, and then we'll move on to the LED lights. Okay guys, so there it is, all done. Got the license plate lights clipped in and the LEDs mounted up. I'm not going to go through wiring procedures for the lights. The reason they don't do them in the instructions is probably the same reason that I don't want to, is because you can do them a million different ways. I know some of you guys will probably want to do them like on an auxiliary switch, or if you got other work lights, maybe on a headache rack or something like that. What I'm going to do is just wire them into my reverse lights. On these 99s and the other early 7.3s, the reverse lights were terrible. They just didn't give you enough when you're backing up, if it's raining or nighttime or whatever. So these would be sweet for me, but this bumper fits, I think it says, all the way through the 2016 Super Duties. So you guys probably have some that have plenty good enough reverse lights and want to do something different with them. But anyways, yeah, real good product, real simple installation. Make sure you go back through and torque everything to spec according to the instruction manual. You know, do all your fine-tune adjustment, level it out, make sure your tailgate opens and closes and all that before. Then you're done. Thanks, guys.